The main things we're going to be looking at throughout this vlog are the tools you can use to help you become more productive and focused. Yeah, it's so funny because I was making content for Instagram today. So welcome to another new vlog. It is Friday the 15th of August. The main things we're going to be looking at throughout this vlog are the tools you can use to help you become more productive and focused. So if you've been following along this series, you know that one of the things that I'm going through is a massive sort of reposition and restructure within my business. And one of those is the organization and the use of all the tools and all the apps that I use to help me stay focused and productive. The more busier I become, the more scattered my mind is, and it can be really hard to keep on top of ideas when I'm using multiple different apps and multiple different sources. So it's all about narrowing this down. So I'm going to show you what I have been using and what I recommend most people to use, and I'm going to show you what I am using going forward. Starting off with today, got an exciting package because I am leaving the iPhone Apple ecosystem. So I picked this up earlier this week, which is a Nothing 3A Pro, and I absolutely fell in love with it. And this is set up as a tool for me to be my work phone. So on here, all I have is work related apps. So I can get onto WhatsApp, email, ChatGPT, Figma, Notion, my notes app, which I've swapped over now to something else, and that is pretty much it. Besides that, and taking some photos and videos, I can't really do anything else with this phone, which is its whole point. So then when I get my new phone, which is going to be an S25 Ultra, this will be set up as my leisure phone. So it will have my Instagram, my TikTok on it, YouTube, all my analytics as well, so I can start reviewing how YouTube videos are performing, and all of the stuff that really distracts me and pulls me out of deep work but is still enjoyable and imperative to what I do can go on here. Because one of the things that we'll talk about later on is app blockers, because they're really useful tools for those of you that aren't so integrated into social media for your sort of day-to-day lives or business. That being said, it is now 10:15. I'm going to crack on with a bit of work because I've got a few tasks to finish up on. Got to send some documents to some people, sort of a few bits out for my record label. And then my big task, which I'm really working on, and it's probably going to take me all week, is setting up Notion. So I'm going to walk you through how I'm going about that and why, for most people, I don't actually recommend you use Notion. It looks very nice, very fancy, but I've got a job to do. So this is going to be put away. So the whole point of this is not to get distracted. So this is going away. This one's staying with me. And we're going to crack on and get my tasks finished. So it's now 2:30, and you can kind of see, well, the screen's a bit blurry. I'm sorting out a bunch of stuff for artist blueprints, keeping their trackers up to date. I'll tell you what, like my thumb, I know I'm working a lot at the minute, but whenever I use this mouse, it absolutely wrecks my thumb. So I think I'm going to try one of those like super geeky, nerdy Logitech things. So I was having a look at one the other day, and it does look like super geeky. It doesn't look as cool as that, but sometimes you've got to go for function over looks. So I'm nearly done this task now. I've sent out my upcoming edit on promo as well, so that's all done. So I'm pretty much on track to now be able to start developing my Notion documents, which I am looking forward to, but I'm not looking forward to, because I know how much faff and work it is. And it's one of these things where it doesn't feel important. Like, it kind of feels like you're being very unproductive because you think, oh, think of everything else I could be doing with my time. But the like net positive and gain you get from doing these like organization things, whether it's Notion or you set up one of the other apps that we have a look at throughout these videos, I can guarantee you it is worth it. I remember when I set up the app that we're going to do a deep dive into probably about a year ago, and I was thinking, what's the point in this? It took me like a weekend to get everything sorted and organized how I wanted it to. But honestly, like it genuinely changed my life. Anyways, I'm going to crack on with this, and then we can go through some insights I've learned over time about distraction and how we can get you feeling more focused and productive. So it's now 6 o'clock, and let's talk everything about distractions. Before you can even think about being productive, you have to get rid of as many distractions as possible. And this is not an easy process. So let's start thinking about what forms distractions come in. I personally think you can break it down into 3 categories: personal, social, and technology distractions. I think there are 3 biggest problems, and really you can probably all put the blame on yourself under personal, but it's a nice way of thinking about it, breaking it down into those 3 categories. So let's start with really probably the hardest one, which is social distractions. So social distractions are external distractions, typically from people and social situations. So that might be your friends asking you to go down the pub, or it might be your girlfriend asking you to go for a walk, or your mum and dad trying to ring you on FaceTime or something. Everyone has these personal distractions, but how much we let in is up to us. Now, the way most people kind of contact us is through technology. So the easiest thing to do is actually put your notifications all on mute. So the only notifications I allow are phone calls from extremely important people to me. So my mum, my dad, and my nan. And then I have my notifications for my calendar. Like, that's it. I don't have any other notifications, so people can't bing at me and try and get my attention, because for me, I'm very easily distracted. Now, turning off notifications is one thing, but learning to say no is another. And that is probably one of the hardest skills I've had to learn over time, but it's definitely now one of my strong points. Unfortunately, this does actually work against you. A lot of people typically stop bothering with you because you keep on saying no. But if you didn't want to do it anyways, then that's not really an issue. So it's not the end of the world, but it is something to think about when you start developing that skill of saying no. And for those that are thinking, well, how do I start developing that skill? You just got to do it. You just got to say no to those people who are asking for your time. So secondly, let's talk about personal distractions. So this is just you and your mind, effectively. How distracted you get off and wander off in different directions inside your minds and your thoughts. Because I know for me, it's definitely a lot. So there's some easy things I've learned along the ways that have really helped me be able to focus more. So one of them was learning to meditate. Although I don't currently do it, it was one of the best things I'd done during lockdown. I got up to around about 20 minutes meditation, and my ability to focus was just insane. I was just able to sit there and quickly get on with things. And to be honest, I would like to start incorporating it into my routine again. Secondly, which is another form of meditation in a weird way, is actually just reading. I really like reading because if you aren't focusing while reading, you're not reading the book. So it's what I call a active skill. Now, I don't mean like going for a run and jumping around and stuff like that. I think you can break down skills and hobbies into 2 things: active and passive. Active being you solely have to focus on that one thing. So when you are reading a book, for example, or playing a video game, you can't really think or focus on any other things because you'll end up not reading the book or dying within the video game. And you don't want either of those. On the other hand, you then have passive skills or hobbies. So this includes watching YouTube or watching Netflix. It's quite easy to sit there and watch Netflix or a YouTube video, but not really watch it. And I think this is where most people fall, is they do a lot of things passively, and that has a knock-on effect for when they want to do things active. Luckily, if you're watching this, you're probably a music producer, and being a music producer is probably one of the most active skills and hobbies you can do out there. You really can't like drift too much because you just start making shit tunes, and no one wants that. And third and finally, we can talk about the most obvious one, which is technology distraction. So this could be as simple as your phones, your iPad, your computer, your TV, the way you have LED lights set up. I don't know. Technology is so ingrained in our lives nowadays, it's really hard to pull away from phones or your computer or your iPad. And we ultimately now rely on them nowadays, if you want to believe it or not. So it's finding out how you can use these devices and not be used by them. So how have I gone about limiting my tech distractions? Well, the first one was the notifications, like I said, so we can kind of tick that one off, and really I think everyone should be doing that nowadays. Secondly is app blockers. So these ones are really good. I use one called Opal, which I will put the icon over here. And I used that for a very long time. The only issue I ran into with Opal, and it wasn't really anything to do with the app, it's more my line of work, is I would have pretty extreme blocks on there, and it would help me be super focused and productive throughout the day. But the problem was, if I got to my phone too late to post to Instagram or put up a story or reply to someone, it would then put too much friction in between me and Instagram, and I would have too much of a disconnect from it, and I would get a real disdained kind of feeling from the platforms and just social media in general. And unfortunately, if you want to be an artist or in the line of work I do, you need to be in touch with social media and you need to have that good relationship with it. So now we've got distraction ticked off. So then we can start talking about ways to boost our productivity throughout the rest of this video.
I'm just expecting.
So you're catching up with me on a Sunday morning now. And yesterday I didn't actually get around to picking up the camera because by the time I set up my new non-work phone, and then I had like 6 hours of meetings, 4 hours of meetings in the end. So by the time I did all of that, cracked on with a few jobs, I didn't even get time to set up the camera. But that's fine. And I think going forward, these vlogs are going to be better, spanned out over a bit more time instead of weekly. I feel like hitting kind of a point like we are in this vlog about focus and productivity and spanning that out is going to be much more impactful compared to doing one every single week for the sake of it. Pretty much got a free day because typically on Sundays I edit all of these vlogs and then turn it into some short form content for like my own personal brand, my artist brand. So I probably could do with making like 1 to 3 carousels, maybe a few reels as well, just so I have some stuff to put out next week. But other than that, you can see I'm actually kind of tidying my room. It's an absolute mess. I don't usually ever let it get this bad, but there's just been like parcels arriving this week with the phones, the keyboard and the mouse. So I ended up getting the mouse. It's one of these Logitech ones. I mean, it looks so ugly and like a gamer mouse, but it definitely works better. It just fits in your hand so much nicer. It still has all the controls that the Magic one does. And I thought while I was there, I'd pick up, you can't really see too much with the lighting, but I thought I'd pick up a mechanical keyboard. Proper little nerdy setup now. I'm losing these Apple aesthetics by the day, but hey, all in the sake of productivity. So I'm going to crack on with getting all of this sorted, getting everything nice and cleaned, and then I need to hit the gym because for the past 3 days I've been just an absolute vegetable, trying to get my head around how I'm going to set up my new systems, setting up the tech systems as well with the phones. But thankfully I figured everything out now. It's just a case of doing it. But because of that, I haven't been to the gym. So I need to get a good workout in. Could do with seeing some green stuff as well, getting out for a nice walk, and just taking it a bit easier today so I'm ready to tackle the week ahead. So we'll catch up tomorrow and we're going to go over something I've come up with which is called the pint method, and that is all to do with productivity, apps and tools and management. So we'll catch up and start running through each one of those points. So what is the PINT method to productivity? Well, it's an acronym. So P stands for project, I stands for idea, N stands for note, T stands for task. And the way we want to set up our PINT method for productivity is to limit the amount of tools and apps that we use for each point, and ideally even have some overlink. So we're going to start with project. So project is exactly what I've been working on over the past few days, as it is now Tuesday at 6 p.m. So project is where you're going to manage your main areas of your life. So your main projects. So that may be your side hustle, your work life, your personal life, fitness, or even relationships. It doesn't matter, it's all personal to you. And in the project management app, you're going to keep an audit on all of these projects easily and be able to assign different tasks. I, standing for idea, is something that we can use to capture an idea and really plan it out. Just like how our brain operates, thinking of different ideas pinging off in different directions, we want an app or a tool that can do that really easily. And then the N for notes is just something that we can easily just jot down a few notes on. It doesn't need to be complicated, it needs to be simple so we can have easy access to these things, and even use this for reusable information like links. And then finally, we've got tasks, which I think is the most important one. So this app or tool is going to be used to keep on top of all of our tasks that we have coming from the notes or our ideas or our projects, so we can keep that momentum and keep the ball rolling. And as I've mentioned throughout the previous videos, this is exactly what I'm redesigning currently. I'm redesigning all my tools through my PINT productivity setup to really optimize and make sure it's sufficient and also sophisticated enough for the growth that I'm going through. So I'm going to show you exactly what I am doing currently, but more importantly, I'm going to show you what I used before, which is much simpler and really easy for you to implement straight away. But I'm going to do that tomorrow, as it's currently 6 p.m. and I need to get to the gym. I can't lie, skipped the gym and a workout yesterday, which I'm not proud of, but sometimes you just got to prioritize the work. So I'm going to crack on now, and I won't even lie, I'm going to work on the gym in my phone, inputting things into my project management app. So we'll catch up tomorrow and I'll show you exactly the apps that I'm using and the ones you should use. So it's now 8:30 on Wednesday, and I know I was going to show you guys how to go about setting up the first PINT acronym for the project apps, but to be honest, I've just been kind of like stuck in with my own one today. I had a bit of a slow start to the morning, which is fine. I felt like it was a bit needed for me. I was starting to get a bit tired. So I didn't get to work until about 10, but honestly, pretty much all day besides lunch and a tea break, I've been pretty much just sat here cracking on with my new project management system, and I'm super happy with it. Like, it's taken quite a lot of time to get this right, try different templates, alter the template as well, because the template beforehand was a bit like ugly and a bit monochrome, and I just couldn't get stuck into it. Whereas now this has just already relieved so much kind of like stress and pressure from my brain, and like that's the whole point of having these kind of second brain apps. So I'm going to flip the camera around and just briefly show you what everything's looking like. But yeah, I'm super happy with how this has come along. So this is the one I ended up going for in the end, which was called Mind Matrix by BroNotion. Highly suggest checking it out for 40 quid. This template was really good. Like I said, it was a bit ugly to start with, so that's why I've color coded everything. I've gone through and added emojis to everything, so it all just looks a bit more pleasant. But it's actually broken down very similar to how I used to have my second brain app set up, but this one just goes into a bit more depth and it's not as cluttered on face value. So it's broken down into pillars, then your goals, the initiatives, which is like the goals broken down, and then your action steps as well. You can go into each one of these. It's nice that it's got like the meanings of stuff, so like your whys and your whats, the goals, then the action steps or the action items I put on toggle, because as you can imagine, there is a lot of things to do, and that's not even all of them. But yeah, this just really helps, and I love the ability to set a deadline, and you can clearly see if something started, if it's a high impact, and how long you've got left. So like setting up these Notion SEOPs, I know I need to get going on that because I've got around 30 days and it's going to be quite high impact for myself. Same with the free community that I talked about on this channel. So yeah, it just really helps me stay on top of things, and I think just looking at it now that it's pretty much done. The only thing I haven't done yet is my own personal brand one. So I've done the goals, but I just need to go through the goals and set up the action steps. But yeah, you can kind of see how in-depth this one is, and I think to a lot of people looking at this, they're probably going like, screw that, I ain't even doing this. But trust me, when we hop into the computer tomorrow, because I've got a full day off, not a day off, but obviously. So what we'll do is we'll hop inside my computer tomorrow along with the other tasks, and I'll show you the project management app, and we'll go over the idea one while we're there. So it's now the next day. I've finally finished setting up my whole new mind matrix, my second brain. And as promised, we're going to hop inside the computer and I'm going to show you what app I recommend and exactly how this one is working here. So as promised, I'm going to show you the first app to use for the pint productivity method, which is project management. And this is going to be your main app to use as well, which is called TickTick. Now, the reason why I'm recommending this over Notion, which is what I've been setting up over the past few days, is this is much easier to use and it has really good, useful apps across mobile devices as well as for desktop. So what you want to do is go ahead and first organize your life into different pillars. So for most people watching this, you're going to have a work life pillar, a personal life pillar, and then your like artist brand. From there, you can create different lists inside every single one. So the way I've got it set up is a tasks one and then a calendar one. So this links to my other calendar apps, but that's not essential because there is a calendar built into this and it is very good actually. It's what I was using for 18 months. And more importantly, what I like is these lists here, which I use for capturing production ideas, short form content ideas, and long form content ideas. Now, I know many people won't do long form, so you can scrap this, but for production and short form, TickTick is really great for this. So all you need to do is then just sort your lists and sort your folders. That's very self-explanatory. When you go to here, add a list, and then you can assign folders, set colors. If you can work Ableton, then I can guarantee you can do this. From there, you just want to change the view, which is up here, and you're going to go to this Kanban method. And what I like to do is have set pillars within this section, which then you can progress your projects through. So let's just use the productions, for example. So you have a section for all your ideas. Then you have a section for the clip. So these are tracks I've made, which I've got like 30-second clips of, which I can share to people. And with TickTick as well, it's not just a basic task manager. You can assign links, you can create subtasks as well, and notes within the tasks. So it's really useful to keep on top of everything as well. And then I just progress these along when the track gets done at different stages, and it really just helps me stay on top of all my projects and know exactly what I have to work on. When it comes to capturing short form content, you can break it down into different pillars or just have one idea list, and maybe you could separate it between reels and carousels, for example, or Instagram and TikTok. And again, because you can insert the links, you could just create your title, insert the link of a bit of inspiration you found on Instagram, because this is the easiest way to come up with content ideas. And there you go. You just then have your idea, so you have a reference point to make your own content off of, and it really helps capturing that idea and not forgetting it. I know for me, my memory fails me a lot, and I know that I sometimes will capture ideas, but I can never remember where I captured the ideas. Was it Apple Notes? Was it Google Notes? Was it just a generals tab on my phone, or saved it in as a bookmark in Google Chrome or Safari? Who knows? I'm terrible at doing stuff like that. So having a system like this in place is really useful. And it's so easy because you just go insert a task. So I could go do carousel for Brandon James, and if you knew when you wanted to do it for, you could then go next Wednesday, and that will automatically pick it up in TickTick, and you could insert the time as well, and it will instantly pick up the time as well. And then you can set it by priorities as well with a shortcut of an exclamation mark. So you can set it as a high priority, a medium, low, or a none. And when you click on there, that then goes into your TickTick. So if I scroll across to next Wednesday, there you go, do carousel for Brendan James. That's just assigned to the general inbox. That could then be changed to your individual lists, your individual pillars. And you start to get a picture of how actually powerful this tool really is, and really how easy it is as well. Compare this to what I've been setting up in Notion. Even just visually, this looks a bit overwhelming and a bit too complicated, whereas TickTick is a much nicer task management and to-do list to get you into this second brain ideation and helping you capture ideas and pushing that needle forward even more than you already are. So yeah, hopefully you found that useful and got an idea of like what you can do with a project management app. So then the next one in the point system is idea. So I'm going to crack on with my day because it is nearly 2 o'clock now actually. So I'm going to get to the gym, make sure I get a good workout in, probably a run as well.
It's like we're practically giving you money by cutting you in on this.
So welcome to Friday, and as you just seen, I have went and bought a new monitor. It's kind of a bit of an impulse buy, I won't lie. I have been wanting a new monitor for quite a while, seeing as I do so much more video editing and like all the photography stuff, and I'm really getting into that. I wanted a screen that could withstand those kind of resolutions and give me a much more crisp picture. But the reason why I went was to get a webcam, because I keep on having to move things around in this studio to then get my MacBook to be my webcam, because obviously I'm using this so much for vlogging nowadays. This isn't plugged into the computer, and that's what I used to use as my webcam. So this is a lot better set up, although a lot of things went wrong in trying to get this right. You can see I need a new HDMI port because this lead here has to go into there, and at the back around there, in fact, I'll tell you what, I will show you. So ages ago, I thought it would be a good idea to try and get like an invisible cable desk set up. And this is what it ended up looking like. Absolute nightmare when you want to change anything. But my point is, there's this thing which plugs the HDMI from the monitor into here, and then it's just a one lead connection into my MacBook, which is there. But this doesn't support 4K resolution, which is what that new monitor is. Anyways, this is a really ugly angle, and I've got 4 hours of calls now.
Made the trip even funner was if he had brought something.
Based in Germany, thanks to the What the Business API. Give it a try. Just click the link and test.
So welcome to Sunday. So you would have seen me yesterday setting up my new workspace, which is all good to go now. You can kind of see monitors there, dock's in now as well, so everything's connected straight into the MacBook, and that can charge at the same time. My Bluetooth speaker probably needs upgrading, but it's a nice little work setup. I quite like it, and I like being able to, you know, have a bit more natural light coming in through this window. So that's always good. But other than that, I really didn't pick up the camera. It was my mate's 30th birthday. So we went around his for a barbecue and then went to some pubs. I didn't drink and I didn't bring the camera either. None of those guys do any of this social media creative kind of work. And it was his 30th. So I thought for the first time me like bringing a camera along in like public, I didn't think it was the best opportunity. And also being completely transparent, I'm still a bit nervous bringing around a camera and like just in general like filming my mates or just documenting what's going on. And to be frank as well, let's be realistic, a bunch of blokes going out, you can't film anything with some of the stuff people are saying. So probably a good thing that you did stay here. But because of that, my brain is absolutely scrambled today. Like I said, I didn't drink or anything like that. I'm not putting on a facade, but I was up at 5 yesterday, catching up on a bit of work, then obviously putting this together. We left there to go to his for about 1, and I didn't get back until about midnight. So I was nearly out like 12 hours. And even if you're not drinking, just the stimulation of people telling stories, shouting, loud music, rambling on after a few drinks, like for me being so introverted and just naturally a bit quieter, absolutely wrecks me, man. So I'm just finishing up a few jobs on Notion, because obviously you've been seeing throughout this video me updating everything, setting up my second brain in there, and I'm just finishing up a bit more. So that's all done. So then I'm just finishing up a few individual dashboard bits. So at the minute I'm on Serotonin Records, so I'm just putting in like a calendar view so I can easily see when all the releases are coming out and all of that kind of stuff. So nothing too crazy, but 1 coffee later, 1 nicotine gum later, and a bit of a monster later, I'm still absolutely fucking knackered. But as promised throughout this whole video, I'm going to show you the last few points of the pint productivity system. Obviously I wanted to space these points out a bit more logically throughout the videos, but it's just the way this vlog has turned out. I'm still getting used to picking up the camera, documenting the journey. I mean, speaking to the camera I'm fine with, that's no issue, but actually trying to tell a story and make engaging non-educational videos is proving not difficult, but just you got a bit more time and effort into it. So I'm going to sit down this evening and actually not script a video, but definitely plan a few things out, because you would have seen from this video everything's been pretty much in the proximity of like the studio or this room. So it would have been good to get to the track, get a few shots in the gym, you know, get out for a walk or a run. Oh, I feel like I'm getting ill as well. That's what you get when you're surrounded by a bunch of fucking invalids. Anyways, let's jump into the computer. So let's get stuck into it. So we've been over the project management side of stuff in TickTick and Notion as well, so you can pick between those two. But as previously mentioned, I recommend starting off inside TickTick. Now going on to the second point of the pint productivity system, which is I for ideas. Now I'm not talking about little ideas like we're looking at here. I'm talking about bigger picture ideas and mapping these things out. And the best thing I've used for this is an app called Figma. So Figma is like an app called Freeform, which is native to Apple. So if you're using a MacBook, iPad, maybe even iPhone, you can use Freeform on there. But the app I'm using is an app called Figma. And the reason why I like this is because it is like a unlimited whiteboard. And this is really good for mind mapping or creating bigger picture ideas, because our brains don't operate, you know, like a text list that you have an idea, it will ping off there, you have another idea, it will ping off over here. And it's not linear in that sense. And that's why mind mapping or something like Figma is really, really good for this. So what we're looking at here is my Serotonin Studio business overview. And this is what I really kind of come back to when I start developing out any bigger ideas. So that is the I done in the pint productivity method. So let's talk about the N, which is notes. So the whole point of the N, or the note section within the Pint system, is literally about just creating notes and just trying to keep to one app for those note takings, or a minimum 2. So I use Google Keep, which is the Google version of Apple Notes. So you can see here, this was a note I was planning out in the gym the other day, and then I can come back to this at a later date and sort of assess it from there. So I'm sure anyone watching this is probably familiar with using Apple Notes. You just want to be a bit more strategic with your use of it and place it in this Pint system for productivity. But the note system is very, very simple. Like, that's all you really need to do. You can see I've changed out a few other things. So SS layout, clothes I'd like to pick up, and, you know, just a general kind of note-taking system, like nothing revolutionary at all. And then finally, we have the T, which is for tasks. So that then puts us back into TickTick, because TickTick is a very good task manager app. You can tick things off, obviously says so in the name, very easily, and you can really feel like you're progressing through your goals nicely. You could do this in Notion if you wanted to go down that route, which I was showing you earlier on in this video. But like I said, I think TickTick is definitely the best app for keeping on top of your tasks, setting deadlines, and just generally keeping organized with everything you've got going on. So yeah, now you've watched that, that is the Pint productivity method that I've come up with and that I'm incorporating and that I have been using subconsciously for probably about 18 months now. But hopefully you've enjoyed this video. I apologize in advance for it being a bit scattered and all over the place, but this is all a work in progress for me, just like everything, and it's good to have you along for the journey. So I appreciate it, and I will catch up with you in another vlog.